Hey guys, it's me, DZ Maven, coming at you again with a Gunpla review. This time, we are taking a look at the Real Grade RX 78-2 Gundam. This is the original, the first Real Grade. I have some opinions about this kit. We will get into that. But first, let's go to the pictures. Not that yet. You don't get to see that first. You get to see pictures first. Alright. Let's get to the photos. Here's a box art. Pretty nice box art of the Gundam itself. I do want to say this kit came out in July of 2010 and retailed for 2,500 yen, which is about $22. So I'm looking at the side of the box here. Yes, the core fighter does go inside the kit. Here are some action pose shots and some of the features. The side of the box and manual. Here is some of the internal spread look at the kit. I think this kit came out shortly after the 1/1 scale Gundam was unveiled, because I think this kit is actually just based off the full scale Gundam. I actually do like this look of the Gundam. I think this is probably still my favorite looking version of the Gundam, because it's nicely detailed, it keeps it real, and it keeps generally the same proportions as the original anime design, which is what I like. Anyway, the big thing about real grade kits was this MS joint frame. This is a pre-molded skeleton frame that allows flexibility without somebody having to actually put the internal frame together. A lot of I want to say the first half of the real grade kits that have come out have MS joint frames, but gradually over time Bandai has scaled back on their use of those. So you only will see them for like a few little things in kits nowadays, and not the whole internal frame. This kit has the full internal frame of the MS joint frame. Construction of this kit is probably, I want to say, a bit above average for difficulty, mainly just due to the size, and there's lots and lots of little parts, which I know is supposed to be the norm for a real grade, but in this case a lot of it has to do with the different color separation they have all over the kit, which if you're paying attention, there's actually like 3 different shades of white on this kit, which later on Bandai started to cut back on. Well, here's the internal spread etiquette. Bandai would reduce the multicolor white down to 2 tones instead of 3, which saved on part runners and complexity. But overall, it's not like this is a super hard kit to put together, but it is probably a little more tricky to deal with than the average real grade. Again, it's mostly just due to the tiny parts on this kit. You have a core fighter. Core fighter does transform. And here's markings. Lots of stickers with this kit. And there's the back of the manual. So here is the kit put together. Unfortunately, I don't have any shots by themselves of the internal frame, because I built this kit a long time ago, and I didn't take any pictures of the internal frame back then. I took pictures of the finished kit. So as you can see, this thing is pretty much a mirror image of the 1/1 scale Gundam. And later on, the Master Grade 3.0 took the same design and just scaled it up. Articulation is actually pretty good overall, with a caveat. The caveat being that this kit likes to fall apart a lot. And that will probably be demonstrating that when I get to the live part of this. The unscripted part. Here's doing push-ups. You do get thrusters, and there's flaps on the backpack that can move independently. Here's that little tiny core fighter. Extremely tiny. Here it is with the front hatch open. And here it is, everything apart. You do get a sort of like a dummy core block that can go inside the kit instead of the core fighter, which is handy because you might want to have the core fighter on display outside of the kit instead of inside. Plus, this dummy core fighter has an additional joint in it that kind of assists with the abdominal waist a little bit. Otherwise, if you use the core fighter, you have a little bit less articulation in there. But here it is with the core fighter inside if you just want to see what it looks like. And I have noticed when plugging the core fighter in and trying to take it back out, it will come apart. So the back part of the core fighter that's stuck in the base. And then you have to get that out. That's always fun. Which is why I don't leave the core fighter in there. So here it is, the Gundam with its standard configuration. Beam rifle, shield, and a pair of beam sabers. Again, I will say, this kit looks extremely nice. It has the looks department down pat. 10 out of 10 on the looks. You do some panel lining on this, put some of the markings on, maybe do a little bit of color touch-ups on it. Like, for instance, probably can't hard to tell here, but I did put light blue in these little areas behind on the backpack, because on the actual 1/1 scale full-size Gundam, they are light blue back there. I noticed that, and I did that on my kit. Profile shot. Now, there is one set of stickers I did not use on this kit. There are some gold stickers that go inside the chest vents. I didn't like those, so I didn't use them. Those are the only stickers I did not use, because I just thought that looked kind of tacky. I just wanted to be yellow, not shiny gold. Here's some posing, action pose shots. Appreciate them. This kit is a nightmare to pose. Every time I try to pose this thing, the joints get floppy or stuff falls off. This thing was a real pain in the ass to get into poses. Here it is up on the action base. The action base connector plugs into the back of the waist, not into the crotch. It's a little different. Here it is with the Hyper Bazooka. As I've probably mentioned in a lot of reviews, Hyper Bazooka, not the easiest thing to pose with, but I think the Real Great Gundam does a decent job of it. And you can stick the bazooka on this clip that goes on the crotch. actually opens up on the back and just kind of clamps around the bazooka. As far as I know, you can't stick the beam rifle there. I tried. I couldn't figure out a way to get it on there, so I have to assume it doesn't go on there. Here it is, these standing pose, supposed to mimic people's view of the real Gundam. They're pretty close facsimile, I would say. You do get these little metallic stickers that go inside the elbow joints. I wouldn't blame you if you decide not to use those, because they do tend to peel off after a while and just make a mess. I think you can probably even tell in some of these photos that they have kind of worn over time. Some of the copper coloring has rubbed off. I've had this kit for a long time. And here is the shield. You can stick stuff on the inside of the shield, including the beam rifle and the beam sabers, if you prefer to keep them there for some reason. And here is the accessories that come in the kit. Again, shield, beam rifle, bazooka, beam sabers. You have a pair that goes on the kit, and a pair with, can't think of the word, slots, pegs. They have pegs on them for holding into the hands. Your action base connector, you have a set of fixed pose fist hands. And your other hands are these posable real grade hands, which are kind of trash. They're kind of bad. And you got your little Amuro figure. Alright, so now we can go to the live view and show what else there is here. Alright, so here it is, real grade Gundam. Right away, this thing is starting to get unstable, just me holding it. In case you can't tell, it's this is the consequence of having a full real grade internal frame, is that eventually it will get loose over time and get floppy. This thing is floppy. It doesn't like, it has a hard time staying stable. I can start to bend him back, and he'll start to sag a little bit. Bend him forward, he starts to lean forward. The feet are not the best, I have found. Again, because of the real grade frame inside the feet. The kit will fall over very easily because the toes will bend in, and if this falls over, the toes will not stay in place. It's very weak toes, a very weak waist joint. The arms are actually okay. The arms have not gotten loose on me. I can hold the shield just fine, no problem there. Most of the problem is just this half of the kit, not so much the top half. These legs are just... That's terrible. This is terrible. Again, I love the design and look of this kit. I just don't like the articulation. It's just... Well, the articulation's good, it's just not stable. That's the problem. Also, you probably noticed the beam saber. I didn't mention this. It is ginormous. I have here beam saber on my 1/100 scale master grade kit. It's this right here. This is the beam saber that comes with this kit. They're the same length. I don't know why Bandai did that, but the beam saber is ginormous on this thing. No, you can't stick the master grade beam saber on here because they have different sized in tips on them. So you can only use this one for this kit, not this one. Although you can kind of wedge this in to the beam rifle, and if you want to do that and simulate firing the beam rifle. Alright, so I get my choice of things to talk about here next. We're going to talk about the hands. Let's talk about the hands, because they're awful. So, these are these real grade hands. See it real close there. They have jointed thumb. You get a jointed index finger, like so, and a 3 finger, which is also jointed as well. And these are all connected with little ball joints that will just come out on you randomly, which is always fun, because now you run the risk of losing these tiny little things. They will be forever gone, and you have a broken hand. Now, there is a slot in the hand for holding things, such as beam saber, like that, which is nice to have. It's good that you have that option. For the weapons, you have this little fold-out tab in the handles, which is not the easiest thing to get out. You may need like a little toothpick or something to kind of get that out. And then you can get that into the hand. But sometimes you can't get it in there. Other times it doesn't want to go in. And sometimes it just goes in, but then your fingers are in the wrong spot. So you gotta take it back out again. And the thumb just came off again. That is the reality of living with this kid and trying to do anything with it. It looks great, but it is kind of a big mess. But anyway, here it is in the hand. It's not right. Yeah, I don't have the fingers wrapped around of it. Same thing on the bazooka. If I can get the tab out. There we go. You can see the tab. Handle moves a little bit. There's no magazine that comes out of this thing. Again, it's the same deal. If you can get it in there, great. Once it's in there, it'll stay in there. It's just, it's not the easiest way to do this. So yeah, these hands are awful. Speaking of stuff that'll fall off all the time, the skirt armor will come off really easily. Because again, it's just a really tiny ball joint that holds that in there. And that will snap off very, very easily. Stand. Stay. Paper. Alright. Other accessories. There's your tiny Amuro. He has his helmet. Oh, here's that action-based connector. Let me show you where that goes on here. It connects into the back where the clip for the bazooka goes into. Again, this is not the easiest thing to open up. There's actually 2 little hinges in here. If I can get this other one to open up. There we go. That. You have to open up all the way. And then you can stick this in the butt, like that. And that will go on the action base. Technically, this is for the older action base, but you can kind of wedge it onto this one here too. I'm gonna do it like that. It's not the most stable connection. Nope. You have to balance it on there. Oh, Gundam, why? Why are you so terrible? You look so great, but you're just terrible. It's a terrible kit. Well, maybe if you get a brand new one, it won't be so bad. Mine is old. It's been through a lot of posing. Anyway, Core Fighter. You get this tiny Core Fighter. You do get the landing gears on there. Take those off. And you can transform the Core Fighter. But that's not going to be happening here because I have found that this part here that has to slide forward, this tends to get stuck a lot. And I had to spend like 20 minutes finagling with my pick to pull this forward just so I can take pictures of it. I'm not going to go through that again because it just takes too long and I'm worried about damaging this, so I'm not going to do that. But it will fold into the fold up properly and fit inside the Gundam. I'm not going to do that because things are stuck on here, so I'm not going to force it because I don't want to break it. Let's see, is there anything else to talk about this kit? I know I'm kind of ragging on this thing a bit. It's not a bad kit. Like I said, it looks great. This is the version, the aesthetic version of the Gundam I like the best. So that's my big positive for this kit. Everything else is kind of Bandai, I know, can do better these days, especially these days. If you do like the look of this particular type of Gundam, consider looking at the Master Grade 3.0. It is the same style of Gundam, just bigger and hopefully more stable. I would like to build the 3.0 someday. Someday I'll get around to it. And I'm hoping that will be a much better experience than this kit that falls apart very easily. Anyway, Gundam 3. Not the real grade Gundam. Now there is something interesting I'm going to add here at the end here. This is something that I have noticed with Bandai over the years. It is the very first kit in their lines they tend to push the envelope with. I remember when the first Master Grade Gundam came out, Bandai tried to push the envelope with that, with added detail, articulation, and they gave you these weird metallic stickers in the original Master Grade Gundam, which is something they phased out pretty quick, along with the heavy user parts on the first Gundam and Zaku Master Grades. Again, sort of same thing in the Perfect Grade line and the real grade line. Just like this, Bandai tried to push the envelope. The full MS joint internal frame skeleton, highly detailed, color separated panels in different tones all throughout the kit. That sort of kind of set the standard And then Bandai kinda toned it back a little bit as the line went on. And as I'm seeing now with things like the Master Grade Extreme Unicorn and the Perfect Grade Unleashed Gundam, Bandai's once again trying to push the boundaries of what they can do with their new lines. So just based on past behavior from Bandai, I would expect the future kits in the lines of those two lines to be a little less expensive and a little less complicated as things goes on, but that's just based on the past year. Anyway, that is the Real Grade Gundam. I hope you enjoyed that review. I had a lot of trouble with this kit, to be honest. So I hope you appreciate that. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this review. I hope you enjoyed. Take care, and bye.